In theory, this is the first of a series of vlogs called The Road to Kelowna. My last competition was UBC New Year's Classic on January the 18th. I did pretty good, but as soon as you walk away from the competition, you start thinking to yourself, well, how could I do it better next time? Ben is going to be competing for his first time in Kelowna this year. It was the first place we saw meet in 2019, so it's been a full year to get both of us up to snuff. Registration opens on February 18th for the competition on April 19th. That means we've got about 10 weeks to hit it hard and get max gains before deload week. The last competition, I got 112.5 or 248 on squat, 92.5 or 204 on bench, and 185 or 408 on deadlift. I'm hoping to get up to 125 or 275 squat, 102.5 or 226 bench, and 195 or 430 on deadlift. That means, for those of you doing math at home, about 2 pounds per week on each of them. That seems pretty reasonable for squat and deadlift, maybe a bit of a reach on the bench. For the past year, I've been doing a cut, which means I've been not eating up to maintenance calories. I've basically been recomping all of my fat into muscle. I've been hovering around 190 to 195 pounds each week for a few months now, meaning that I can continue to slowly gain muscle and maintain my weight, or do a dreaded bulk cycle. I've decided that I will allow myself to go all the way up to 200 pounds for the next 2 months to make sure I'm very recovered after each session, and the heck with my Wilks in Kelowna. I came to that decision because the deload week before UBC was great, but I still wasn't fully recovered in my shoulder. Back in October, I was doing deep overhead presses and had some really suboptimal bench form due to muscle imbalance. This caused bursitis that required physiotherapy. I laid off heavy lifts for a while to correct my form, and the pain went away. Then in January, I got overexcited again, and the pain came back. So I'm going to do the smart thing and keep it lighter, make sure I'm recovered, and ramp it up for the 10 weeks. Which brings me to week 1 after competition, which is me hitting it hard on everything except bench. And by hard, I mean I actually got DOMs for the first time in months. I love DOMs. I know they're not needed for gains, but they make you feel like you've earned your gains. Last month, I was doing a lot of 1 reps and doubles. Since it's back to training, this is what I did this week instead. So here's a bit of a breakdown of what you're seeing here. On the bench, that's 5 sets of 5 reps. That's an Olympic bar, which is about 45 pounds, a 45-pound plate on each side. That's what the P means in this entire thing. And then an additional 15 pounds on each side. So if you see 2P15, that means 2 45-pound plates, and then 15 pounds on each side. I was feeling pretty good about my bench on Sunday, so I went up an additional set while keeping the weight and reps the same. Squats I did on Wednesday and Sunday. I don't usually do deadlifts and squats on the same day. I was walking with a bow leg all week, but I rolled into gym on Sunday and I got locked in, my head was in the right place, and I felt good. I've been focusing on glute activation since I'm very much quad dominant, so the style change is probably where my DOMs came from this week. Deadlifts, I did my highest weight I've done for reps compared to the usual 1 rep max that I was doing previously and exhausting myself very quickly. I'm not concerned about getting my deadlift numbers up. I need to focus on my form right now. Biceps I do as a superset in between my squats. I don't really care much about my bicep strength, but I do it because I might as well, and I've got time in between sets of squats. The lat pull down is also not a big concern of mine, so it's one of the exercises I skip more frequently than the others. Note that the lat pull down I use has 2 shoulder width grips and 1 wide grip. so the number written is for the inner grip. Usually the outer grip is about 15 pounds lighter. Back extensions tend to be a superset during bench, so I hop off the bench, head over to the Roman chair, grab the bar, and hold the extension for 30 seconds, or do about 10 raises from floor to extended and then back to floor. I'm still figuring out isometric versus active reps. However, doing either of them has increased my backlog for all 4 of the compound exercises. It's very important to increasing my deadlift and squat, because going full taco on the maximal deadlifts is going to catch up to me sooner than later. The sitting row is critical for me to work on, as I have weak rhomboids and serratus anterior muscles, which cause winging scapula. This means I combine the standard row with an extra lockout extension on the back retraction. Pec fly is pretty straightforward. Often my last set of 6 requires me to drop 7.5 pounds to maintain form, but that's a non-issue. Back fly is also a work in progress, again due to the weak upper back muscles. Maintaining form is getting easier, but it's still not perfect, and sometimes I have to drop weight on the last couple of sets. The overhead press that we do is superset with pendulé or bent over rows. You can see it comes near the end of the session, and given that it has little direct translation to the competition lifts, I tend to do this for hypertrophy instead of strength. On Sunday, Ben's pecs were not cooperating, so we just skipped it that day. Landmines may get skipped depending on my bursitis. Wednesday, no problem. Friday with Ben, I kept it at his weight for my own sets and went for hypertrophy instead of explosive strength. On Sunday, again, since Ben's pecs were really flaring up, we skipped them and did our first set of glute bridges ever instead. Which brings us to our glute bridges. I wish I had been recording it. Ben and I looked really dumb. So what we did is we walked over to a girl who was doing sets of 10 at plate 35 and asked her if she would show us. She had zero issue with it, and we thanked her for showing us, and we started working on our own sets. By set 6, we were both at one plate, and we learned how imbalanced our bodies were and how much we really needed to be doing this exercise. And closed it off with the superset we never skip, because if we did, Jeff Cavalier from Mathlete X would come to our house. The tricep extension and face pulls. The extensions we do is the same principle as a skull crusher, but I find it easier on my elbows. And the weight that I'm using is the same as the face pulls, so it works out as a superset. Note that in Canada, marijuana is legal. The newest Clean Sports module update also says it allows for CBD consumption, but not THC for powerlifting competitors. So yes, I do use CBD in lieu of muscle relaxers to allow sleep when my DOMs are really hard. It's definitely helped, but overall, my sleep this week has been really suboptimal. This is likely due to waking up early to go to first aid training on the weekend and still being under-recovered from the maximal lifts on the 18th. This is altogether what left me to conclude that I should probably be doing a bulk cycle for the next 2 months and see if it helps me going really hard without any damage. I prefer to stay away from the CBD and the relaxers as they contain anti-inflammatories, and it's known that inflammation is needed for maximum gains. So if you want to do the same workouts as Ben and I, or if you want to post your results as you go, I welcome you to reach out and we can get you added to the spreadsheet. Fitness should be for everyone. It's not just for the high-end people. It's not just for my accomplishments. It's all of our accomplishments. We're all in this together. Thanks for joining Rawr and I today. Oh, hopefully my formatting will improve as I figure out more features from the recording software I'm using. Till later, we're on the road to Kelowna with Rawr.